Almost 1 out of every 5 students reports experiencing bullying, according to research conducted by government and higher education agencies as published by pacer.org. 41% of students who reported being bullied at school indicated that they think that the bullying would happen again. In the specific age group of 9 to 12-year-olds, 49.8% said they had experienced bullying at school. Some of the reasons for being bullied reported most often by students include physical appearance, race, ethnicity, gender, disability, religion, and sexual orientation. And the final statistic I'll call out is that only 46% of bullied students report notifying an adult at school about the incident. This is a staggering statistic. Bullying in our schools is such a serious problem, and sometimes it takes a horrific, tragic event to bring it to the spotlight. As advocates for injustice, we felt so compelled to tell you all this story and help spread awareness. Jane and I sat down on September 5th, 2024 to discuss the story of Nevaeh Jade Perdiz. Jane had just attended her vigil in downtown Keene, New Hampshire the night before. Nevaeh was a beautiful 13-year-old student at Keene Middle School in Keene, New Hampshire, who tragically took her own life because of incessant bullying. Nevaeh was a very artistic young lady, having a talent for not only drawing, but also writing beautiful poetry. She also liked to journal, and she could often be found writing in her notebook. She also loved to read. She loved music of all kinds too. Those close to Nevaeh described her as selfless. She was always putting other people before herself. They would also describe her as incredibly funny, that she would always know how to cheer you up and make you smile. Nevaeh was also a wonderful daughter, sister, granddaughter, niece, and truly amazing friend to those lucky enough to know her. It's clear she will be so deeply missed by so many. In Nevaeh's obituary, the family asked that in lieu of flowers, donations be made in her memory to Stand for the Silent, an anti-bullying organization that aims to bring awareness to bullying and the real devastation that it causes. The website can be found in our show notes, along with her obituary. Welcome to Invisible Tears. I'm Amanda, the co-host of Invisible Tears, or one of the co-hosts of Invisible Tears. And today I'm here with Jane. How's it going, Jane?
It's going. It's been a pretty an emotional week, to say the least. Today we're going to talk about bullying.
Yes, we are.
School bullying, to be more specific. In Keene, New Hampshire, on August 29th, 13-year-old Nevaeh hung herself in her bedroom. Her brother found her. She had no pulse, no heartbeat. They were able to revive her with CPR, but she had gone 25 minutes without no oxygen. On September 2nd, she was pronounced brain dead. On the 3rd of September, the very next day, at 3:00 p.m., the family made the very difficult decision to take her off the ventilator. They removed the ventilator while her mother and her father laid beside her. She had passed away. She had been bullied for a year and a half relentlessly in the Keene Middle School in Keene, New Hampshire.
Mm-hmm.
This hit me pretty hard because, and you too, because it was so local.
Yeah.
So incredibly local. Her mother has been very vocal. She has been blowing up social media. And everybody else has been blowing up social media about the bullying that was ignored at the Keene Middle School. Her mother did everything right. Her mother went to the school, made complaints. Her mother even went to the police station, made complaints. and nothing was ever done about it. It was just brushed underneath the rug. Like, they never held anybody accountable. They did nothing about it. And poor Nevaeh just couldn't take it anymore. It's I have such a hard time doing this without crying.
Yeah, me too.
Ugh.
I'm already tearing up. It's heartbreaking. I can't imagine what this family is going through. I can't imagine what she went through. You know, she's only 2 years younger than my daughter, who also went to Keene Middle School. So this very much, hits close for me too. I know what my daughter experienced.
Well, I'll tell you, it's definitely rocked the Cheshire County.
Yes, it
It has
has.
definitely brought a lot of awareness. So let's talk about bullying in schools.
Yeah.
So unacceptable. To me, there should be zero tolerance for it.
Yes.
Zero tolerance for bullying in school. These kids should be able to feel safe in their school.
Mhm.
They're there, they wanna learn. Obviously, there's some social experience with going to school, and these kids just want to experience all the positives. I was told yesterday that 1 out of every 4 children that go to school, especially from the grades 3rd grade to high school, are bullied
Mhm.
every day, and they come forward. Those are the ones we know about.
Right.
There's so many more students out there that are being bullied that we don't even know about. They're being bullied behind the scenes that nobody witnesses it, and
Right.
it's just it is out of control right now. And, Nevaeh, she was beautiful, like
Yeah, she
a
was.
beautiful girl. And she didn't deserve this. No student does. No student does. I printed up some stuff here that I want to read, and it's definition of bullying, school bullying, forms of school bullying. The different forms of school bullying include physical bullying, kicking, pinching, hitting, pushing, and damaging property. Verbal bullying, racist or homophobic remarks, name calling, intimidation, teasing and insults, social bullying, encouraging the exclusion of certain students, embarrassing or humiliating a child, spreading rumors or lying, mimicking, pulling pranks, to cause humiliation and damaging social reputation.
Mhm.
And then there's the infamous cyberbullying, which I think is the worst. It's a new phenomenon, which isn't very new. I'm not sure when this was printed up.
Mhm.
A phenomenon of bullying that includes using smartphones, computers to access online social media platforms, texts, and websites to spread rumors and gossip, intimidate peers online, send abusive or hurtful messages, and post and share images and videos that may be harmful to the victim. That is the definition of bullying. Also, I did read somewhere that when this or any of this is done once, it's really not considered bullying. It's when it happens 2 or more times.
Consistently. Yep.
90% of the time, it happens 2 or more times.
Right.
It needs to be talked about more,
Mhm.
and there needs to be accountability.
Absolutely.
Me and Jessica and Cheyenne, this has really upset us a lot. As soon as we saw online that Nevaeh had hung herself and she was up in ICU up in Lebanon, we followed her mother's story. Her mother very graciously updated everybody every day on social media about Nevaeh and her condition. Every day we went online. I don't know. I guess we felt the same as her mom. We had hope that, she was going to pull through. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. They had a vigil for Nevaeh last night in Keene at Central Square. We showed up with our poster boards. Cheyenne just was like, we're going. It wasn't even a question. She was like, we're going. And I want a poster board. And so we made poster boards and we went, and there was hundreds of people there. There was so many people there. And we walked around, we held signs up as traffic was going by. I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, Nevaeh felt so alone, but yet look at everybody here in support of her and her family.
Right.
And it was just mind blowing and baffling how this girl could feel so alone, but yet see so many people there. There was young people, there was older people, there was just so many different people. It was crazy. And then I'm standing there and I'm looking around, and there was, groups of girls crying over here and groups of girls crying over there. And I went over and I hugged them and talked to them, and I said, "Were you guys friends of Nevaeh's?" And they said, "Yeah, we were friends. She was and one girl spoke up and said she was my best friend." And she's like, "I felt so hopeless that," she said, I couldn't do anything to help her.
Mhm.
She was just so heartbroken. And I stood there and I cried with her. And I said, "You know what? You can make a difference. You can save somebody else's life. But you guys need to speak up. You guys speak up in numbers."
Yep.
And so I stood there for quite a while talking to them and crying with them. And I told them, Nevaeh is making an impact on other people right now. And just remember that. And then Cheyenne, God, I'm so freaking proud of that girl. She just amazes me. She had saw a little girl about her age over on the side holding a poster, and tears were just streaming down her face. And somebody had said something about that was Nevaeh's cousin.
Ah,
And Cheyenne went right over to her and just stood there and cried with her and said, "You were Nevaeh's cousin?" And she's like, "Yeah." And Cheyenne they didn't even have to speak. They just stood there and cried. And Cheyenne had her arm around her. I have a picture of that that we posted online. But Cheyenne was just like, "I have to give that girl a hug," and sh- they just stood there and they hugged each other. And Cheyenne did talk to her a little bit. I'm not quite sure what she said, but I was just so proud of her to go over there and comfort her.
yeah.
It was just a very emotional event, but there were so many people there. And so many people there tell their story, of, "Hey, my child was bullied," or, "Hey, I was bullied in the same school and nobody did anything about it." And, you know, that could have been me, you know, that could have been me. And it was just, it was so emotional. And I know, like you were saying, Obs went to Keene Middle School,
Yep.
and she not only witnessed, but I believe she experienced
She did. Yep.
some.
She only went through to Keene Middle School until the end of 7th grade. But from actually almost the start of 3rd grade, so even through elementary school, she experienced, especially with a couple of specific individuals, some really scary psychological bullying. And some of the stuff actually had it got pretty serious. And out of respect for her privacy, I'm not going to go into any details, but that wasn't the reason why we ended up homeschooling, but it was certainly, there were multiple other reasons why we ended up going homeschooling for a couple of years. But just trying to get her away from some of those personalities to help her mental health was important. And I don't think that people understand how, I mean, God, even starting in the elementary school, how some of the psychological stuff that these kids are dealing with is traumatic. I went through the entire Keene Middle School too, all the way through SAU 29. So went through the middle school and ended up graduating to high school. And now, mind you, this was obviously quite some time ago, but the bullying and the cliques then was incessant. And I made a very conscious choice to stand up for people that I didn't even know, for the simple reason of just the type of person that I am. There's not a piece of my DNA that exists where I, as a human being, can stand by and watch somebody be tortured. I cannot. And I've never been that type of person. And so I sit back and I sort of reflect and I hear all these families coming forward and talking about that specific school system as well. And I'm realizing it's just existed forever there. And they've never done anything, because why was the student body the ones that were standing up for these children and doing something, and the school officials weren't?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always been like, when I started seeing all of the families start posting about their experiences, I was like, wow, this has been rampant, hasn't it?
Yeah. The stories that I heard at the vigil was just, uh, it was like I heard so many different stories, but yet they were all the same
Right.
because they were all experiencing the same thing. Their child was experiencing the bullying. They went to the school system. They had meetings. They tried to address the issue. They just got nowhere. Some of them, even like Nevaeh's mother, went to the cops. And the cops, I guess, their response is, this isn't up to us to take care of. It's up to the school system to take care of.
Right.
And so, these parents are like, but the school system is doing nothing.
Right.
And it's kind of ironic because, of course, as soon as all this was starting to go viral about Nevaeh, all of a sudden the school system
Hmm.
went online and wanted to announce this big meeting because they didn't want they were having concerns about the social media attention about this, and they say we're having this big meeting about a tragedy that has happened. Well, why don't they just come out and say we are having a meeting about the bullying in our schools because a child killed herself due to relentless bullying? They don't want to come out and say that because they would have to admit that there's a problem in the school system.
Yes.
And it just, oh my God, I was so annoyed when I read that from the
Hmm.
school system. It's like they are still not taking any accountability for anything.
Right.
And you know what? Seeing the amount of people that were there, and I heard there was quite a few teachers, I have a feeling they're going to be feeling some pressure.
Yep.
And you know what? Some of the administration should be either resigning or being let go because this has been going on for a long time and there's no accountability.
Right.
Why?
It turns my stomach to hear, in regards to situations like bullying in the schools, it turns my stomach to hear people sort of respond with, well, kids will be kids.
Oh my God. I hate that comment. Cheyenne was bullied a couple of years ago, and Jessica wrote a letter to the principal explaining that we feel that Cheyenne is being bullied by this individual. The principal said, okay, I'll investigate it and I will let you know what I find out. So I guess he like interviewed or talked to a couple of students and talked to Cheyenne and da 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 da. And then he writes back to her and says, I had no findings of bullying. What I found was kids are going to be kids. And I was like, you just did not write that. I was annoyed. I
Mhm.
hate that saying, and they should not be saying it anymore. That is unacceptable. Ask Nevaeh. Ask Nevaeh's mom. Kids just being kids? I don't think so.
Yeah.
When Cheyenne was talking to Nevaeh's cousin, and Nevaeh's cousin was holding a Hello Kitty stuffed animal.
Oh.
And you know how I feel about Hello Kitty. I love Hello Kitty.
Yep.
And so I went over to her and I said, I see you're holding a Hello Kitty stuffed animal. And she's like, yeah. She shakes her head. And I said, did Nevaeh like Hello Kitty? And she's like, oh, Nevaeh loved Hello Kitty. I was like,
Mm.
made me cry. Oh my gosh, I was just bawling because I love Hello Kitty, and I guess that was one of her favorite things was Hello Kitty.
Mm.
But she was beautiful, and she was so smart, and everybody I talked to, she said she was so funny. She was very kind to everybody. I heard a lot of good about her. Yeah.
We'll be right back after a quick word from our sponsors. And now back to our episode.
I did talk to her mom for a little while, and I'll tell you, her mission last night was justice for Nevaeh. And that's everywhere you go online, everywhere on social media, especially my page. I've been blasting it like crazy. It's hashtag justice for Nevaeh, and that is totally her mission. Is she wants justice? She wants the students that were responsible for this to be held accountable.
Yes.
She knows who they are. She's gone through Nevaeh's stuff and been on her social media and her emails and all that, and so she knows who they are. And they actually had the audacity to email Nevaeh's mother the day that Nevaeh passed to say they were sorry that Nevaeh passed away.
Hmm.
She was like, and she called them out online. She's like, can you believe the people that were responsible, that are responsible for my daughter's death, messaged me? And I was just like, she was she was not happy, but she called them out. She didn't call them out by name,
Right.
but she did let people know that, you know what, these bullies messaged me. Okay, there could be two reasons why they do this. One, they actually feel guilty, which I doubt very much. Or two, they just want to torture Nevaeh's mom a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. We need more kindness in this world.
We do.
We do so bad.
Well, I just hope out of this horrible and traumatic experience that at least one school system can be fixed. And maybe the rest of the kids, within this area and within that school system, in light of what's happened, can learn tools to, interact differently and communicate differently so it can not be a problem anymore.
Yeah. The kids need to start, if they see it, they need to start speaking up. And I get some of the reason, and I was told this last night, some of the reason why a few of them did not speak up was because they were afraid of repercussion from those same bullies.
Yeah.
So they never did speak up. But that was a big thing last night too, is, you see it, say something.
Mm-hmm.
You see it, confront them. You see it, tell somebody.
Right.
Don't just walk away or walk by it.
Right. Don't ignore it.
Don't ignore it. Get involved. Get involved, because that's the only way they are going to be able to let these bullies know that this is not acceptable anymore.
Mhm.
Zero tolerance. And, maybe these bullies will start being, I don't want to say outcasted because that is a bully thing to say. But
Yeah.
maybe, people will start seeing these bullies for what they really are and be like, okay, you're a bully. I know what you do. I know what you have done and said. I don't want to be involved with this anymore, or I don't want to be subjected to this anymore. And I find it not funny anymore. And I find it unacceptable. And maybe these students will start in numbers
Hmm.
being more vocal
Yep.
and standing up to these bullies and tell them enough is enough.
Exactly. There definitely is strength in numbers, and I'm sure the distribution between, bullies and non-bullies within the school, I'm sure the bullies are less in numbers than the non-bullies there. And you know, I think back and I can completely understand the perspective of being scared. Thinking back to your, public school days, right? Number one, you don't want to be different. Not always, right? You want to fit in, you don't want to be different, and it can be extremely socially intimidating in some situations. So I can completely understand people being scared to stand up in those situations to protect people, to even, say something because, what might they do to you if found out? I mean, you may then become the target of it. Um, so I'm certainly not judging or trying to place any sort of blame per se on anybody that is scared. But I guess the message that we can make sure and try and get across to these kids is, well, the strength in numbers. You know right from wrong, right? You know correct treatment from incorrect treatment. And if you know someone is suffering, have compassion and try and help band together to actually help say something or communicate something to protect them. I used to just solely take on the ownership of any situation that was happening around me and solely protect. It's amazing to see the dynamic of a crowd once one person stands up too.
Mhm.
That's another thing to make sure and put out there is I can't tell you the amount of situations that I went into where I actually started, physically protecting someone who was being bullied for some sort of obvious reason that I didn't even know. And I just stood, you know what I mean? Physically stopped it and protected the person and was like, what is the matter with you to the instigators? And all of a sudden, the rest of the passive crowd followed along suit with me. Sometimes it just takes that one person. And I understand that now, I personally didn't care if I was then subjected to being a target. It always sort of worked out in favor of protecting people. And I was able to help sway, I guess, those crowds. So you'd be surprised what happens when you stand against, you know, against something like that and how much support you may have and maybe even from people you don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Another thing I want to address too. A lot of people are like, hold the parents accountable. I have mixed emotions with that.
Mhm.
I know when Cheyenne had been mistreated a few months ago, which she was pretty much being bullied online. I knew the parent. Jessica knew the parent. We confronted her, and she was mortified to find out that her daughter was acting that way. She was mortified, and she nipped it in the butt and made her daughter go on FaceTime and apologize to Cheyenne. So we can't always assume that the parents know their child is a bully.
Yep,
And we
that's
can't
correct.
always assume that the parents are okay with their child being a bully. Some parents don't even know. And when they find out, they are shocked. They are mortified. They cannot even believe that that is their child.
Right.
Unfortunately, sometimes kids, and I know sometimes Cheyenne does too, sometimes kids act very differently in school than they do at home around their parents.
Yep.
So to really to automatically say, "Oh, let's go after the parents," make the parents, responsible and accountable. I think we only need to do that if the parent knows that it's going on and the parent doesn't choose to do anything about it, or the parent encourages it.
Right.
So, we really need to stop judging who we should go after for accountability. We shouldn't judge it. Now, the school, they know this is going on. They have to know that this stuff is going on, especially when parents go to them and say, this is going on.
Right.
They should be accountable for what happens.
Yep.
And I know parents are not afraid to come forward. If they know their child is being bullied in school, a lot of parents are not afraid to come forward and go to the school and say, look, so and so is bullying my child and I want something to be done about it.
Yep.
So, the school knows. And we talk about Keene, Hampshire, and the middle school. It's happening in Hinsdale, New Hampshire, my town. It's happening in Brattleboro. Brattleboro is horrible with bullying. It is happening across the country.
Right.
You could be going to the biggest school there is, or you can be going to the smallest school there is. My granddaughter's school is tiny. Let's see, 32 seniors graduated from
Whew.
Hinsdale High last year. That's tiny.
Small. Yep.
Cheyenne's class is like 44 kids. It's broke up in 2 classes, but her whole 5th grade class is only 44 kids.
Right.
So, I mean, it's happening in Hinsdale. It's a tiny school. So I don't care if you have the largest school or the smallest school. It is happening in your school. Instead of turning a blind eye and ignoring it, you got to get involved. That's the only way we're going to get control of this. It's the only way we can protect our kids in school. Unfortunately, Nevaeh's life ended, but you know what? Going to that vigil last night, she's saving a lot of lives.
Yeah.
She's brought so much attention to this. I wouldn't be doing this podcast today on bullying if it wasn't for Nevaeh. And I hope us doing this podcast educates somebody, and I hope it makes a difference. I hope somebody is listening and wants to make a difference in their school system and says, yeah, this is not okay.
Right. Yeah. I hope so too.
Oh, I apologize for being so emotional. And you know what? I didn't even know Nevaeh. I didn't know her.
I was going to say, don't apologize for being emotional. No, absolutely not. You didn't know her. I didn't know her. We're both emotional about this. I just can't. I obviously locations so close to home, and I think about her, and I think about what she must have experienced, and especially to end up doing what she ended up doing. And then I just think of her mom and her family, and my heart just breaks for them.
Yeah.
So I get
My
emotional
heart does too.
Yeah.
But I want to we're going to when we air this episode, I want to put on her mom does a blog on Facebook. It's like a blog. She is always on there talking about so many things, especially about Nevaeh. And so we will add her link on our Facebook so people can go on and read. Because another thing, this family has been through so freaking much. And she's meeting her last night. She's like the strongest person I ever met. 3 years ago, Nevaeh's brother, her son, got into a bicycle accident. and was in ICU for, God, months. And he now lives in a nursing home because he is a
Quadriplegic. Yep.
yeah.
Ugh.
But Nevaeh's mom goes there every single day to see him. And Nevaeh, there's pictures online of Nevaeh laying with him in bed at the nursing home, just laying with him, talking to him, reading to him. She used to go there a lot, all the time to see him. She spent a lot of time there with him. And her mother had wrote online that one of the hardest things for her to do is to go to the nursing home and tell him that she was gone. So, I mean, this mother has been through so much. Jesus, I just my heart goes out to her. My heart breaks for her. But meeting her last night was she almost made me feel better. I was like, she is such a strong person, and she's going to be talking a lot about bullying and suicide and tragedy, and about fighting justice for Nevaeh. She's one strong Czech man.
I wish I was in New Hampshire, so I could have got,
I
I would have
do.
been there with you last night as well. I'm in North Carolina now, but just hearing about her strength and seeing some of the posts that she is doing, I don't know if I would be as strong as her.
Yeah.
It's stuff you're not supposed to experience with your kids.
Oh, exactly.
I commend her so much. Her strength.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was amazing last night. She really was. She had somebody else speak about bullying and suicide and stuff. She didn't actually speak, but there's what do you call that in the middle of the central square, the pavilion or whatever.
Oh, yep.
So she stood in there, and people were just lined up, walking up to talk to her like all night long. And she took the time to talk to everybody. She talked to me and Justin Cheyenne for, God, I don't know, good 10 minutes. And there was a
Wow.
line behind me, and she didn't care. She stood there and she talked to people. Cheyenne went online and found out what Nevaeh's favorite color was. It was purple. And so Cheyenne wore purple to school. And Cheyenne also went on social media that morning, encouraging other people, other friends of hers at school, to wear purple that day, yesterday, for Nevaeh. I mean, it was just, and Cheyenne was talking about that with her, with her mother, and she was like, "Wow."
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Love Cheyenne. Such a good person.
She really is. She really is. She cares. She cares so much for so many, and she's not afraid to step up and say something.
Yep.
She knows who the students are in her class that act like bullies or don't treat people with respect or kindness, and she separates herself from them. She doesn't hang out with them. She doesn't. I mean, she's not rude to them, but they're not in her circle
Right.
of friends. And I have so much respect for her for that. And she knows who they are. She can tell you she knows who they are. Yeah, I'm so proud of her. So when I did post online all the pictures of the vigil for Nevaeh,
Yep.
and so you can go on and see those on Invisible Tears, the Invisible Tears page. And let's stop bullying, especially school bullying. Let's stop it.
Yeah.
Let's make awareness that this is happening in all schools. All schools. I can't stress that enough.
Yeah.
Cannot stress that enough.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I implore everyone to just try kindness.
Yeah.
to just try kindness, because it feels so much better to be kind than to hurt people.
Yeah, somebody there had made these yard signs and they were passing them out. I mean, they made hundreds of them and they were passing them out, and they were orange, and they said, kindness saves lives.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really powerful last night. It was, and so many people took those signs home. We took one sitting, it's right in my front yard. Right in my front yard, so when people drive by, they see it. But yeah, kindness goes a long ways. You don't know what kind of a day somebody is having, especially school students. They could be, they're at school, they learn, but you don't know what they're going home to.
Right.
They could be going home to an abusive home, a home where they're neglected, or a home that, is not a good home. You don't know what they're going home to. So why not show your kindness when you see them?
Mm-hmm.
It goes a long ways with them.
Mm-hmm.
These kids in school should see this and know this and be educated with this. There's got to be more education in school with this bullying. I mean, I think there's 3 things. 1, educate.
Mm-hmm.
2, notice it.
Mm-hmm.
3, address it.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It sounds so simple.
It does.
Why are these schools not doing this? That just sounded so simple. Wow.
I don't know.
But the schools aren't doing it.
Yeah.
Well, we need to do it better.
Yeah.
And I want to thank everybody for listening today. I hope this episode makes a difference for someone.
I hope so too.
Thank you all so much for listening to this episode of Invisible Tears. Make sure you subscribe to our podcast to hear all future episodes. Click into our link tree too in the episode description to find and follow us on all our social medias. And it also links to our website, invisible-tears.com, where you can keep current on any events that may be coming up, read more about Jane and the team, and read more about all the Connecticut River Valley unsolved cases. Evil may exist in this world, but we will not let it win. See you next episode.